Hello everyone. Welcome to the course on electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles. Dear learners, in the previous lectures you have studied about the electric vehicles, about the charging infrastructures, about the power electronic converters, about the battery management systems, etc. So, in this lecture we are going to study about the grid integration of EV charging infrastructure. So, let's start the lecture. So, basically what we need for the grid integration of EV is the distributed charging infrastructure. So, a concentration of charging points at one location, especially of high power chargers, increases the load requirement for EV charging. This in turn can necessitate the infrastructure upgrade when the permissible utilization threshold for a feeder is exceeded. Hence, it is recommended that charging infrastructure is implemented in a distributed manner to limit the power demand for charging at any location. So, first of all, we will see about the passive management of EV charging load. Passive EV charging management entails influencing the charging behavior of EV users through specially designed electricity tariff instruments. Time of day. Tariffs are designed so that EV charging is more expensive during peak hours to reduce overloading the electricity grid. TOD tariffs are effective at managing EV charging loads without excessive financial burden on EV owners or CPOs, the charge point operators. Now, next is active management of EV charging load. So, the active charging management involves remotely controlled EV charging that responds to triggers like changes in tariff, power demand, etc. Depending on the inputs, EV charging sessions can start or stop, and charging levels can ramp up or down automatically. Smart chargers with specific capabilities are needed to carry out active EV charging. Smart chargers can also handle passive management instruments like TOD tariffs and more dynamic regimes like time of use, which is denoted as TOU tariffs, in which electricity tariffs are adjusted in real time based on demand. Employing passive or active EV charging management can unlock multiple system wide benefits beyond optimal grid utilization. This include reduced electricity costs for consumers, improved integration of renewable energy in electricity supply, and more reliable and resilient grid services. With growing EV adoption, increased charging loads pose risks at multiple levels, from the DISCOM's service area to the feeder level. On one hand, aggregated charging demand may exacerbate the peak demand in a DISCOM's service area or create new demand peaks. On the other hand, intermittent spikes in EV charging loads can adversely impact the distribution network, particularly in areas where electricity feeders have low available hosting capacity. Unmanaged EV charging, often referred to as simple or dumb charging, and it can hamper smooth operation of the electricity distribution system by causing voltage instabilities, harmonic distortions, power losses, and degradation of reliability indices. In cases where EV charging points draw electricity from an existing connection, dumb charging can cause voltage instability in the electrical circuit of the host establishment. In contrast, smart charging uses passive and active energy management measures to balance charging demand more evenly and to minimize the negative impacts of EV charging loads on the distribution system. Pilot projects in different parts of the world have demonstrated that smart charging in coordination with passive management measures is effective in shifting a sustainable share of the EV charging load to off-peak times, while still satisfying customers' charging needs. Further, managed EV charging can be leveraged to achieve higher renewable energy uptake by synchronizing optimal vehicle charging times with peak renewable energy generation periods. Smart charging is also useful in charging use cases where electricity for EV charging is drawn from an existing power connection. The smart chargers with requisite capabilities can limit charging load by controlling charging power levels in response to overall power demand to avoid exceeding the sanctioned load. At a feeder level or within a DISCOM service area, smart charging devices respond to signals to control the rate of charging in order to provide frequency response services and load balancing services. Now we will see about the smart EV charging. So what is smart EV charging? So smart charging encompasses a range of functions and capabilities. Like for private charging, an EVSE known as the electric vehicle service equipment with basic functions is adequate for programming according to the TOD tariffs. For more advanced solutions at commercial charging facilities or rapid charging hubs, a wider range of functions is needed to enable dynamic load management, respond to TOU tariff signals, and operate different subscription plans for seamless charging transactions. An EVSE with advanced smart charging capabilities has the following characteristics. First one is it can be programmed to respond appropriately and autonomously to signals from DISCOMs, for example electricity tariff, or the Central Management System CMS to coordinate with TOD and TOU tariffs. Second one is it can be monitored and managed over an application. Third one is it is equipped with GPRS, 3G or 4G or wired connection and is connected to a cloud service. Fourth one is it shares a data connection with an EV and a charging network. The fifth one is it is compatible with the back-end communication protocol, and in addition a smart charging system comprises the following features. So these are the features for the smart charging system, which are as follows: an intelligent back-end solution that enables real-time data sharing between the EV, EVSE and CPO, which is known as Central Management System CMS. This is the backbone of smart charging. So this is the central management system which is used to control or communicate between the EV, EVSE and CPO. A uniform communication layer for all the charging devices within the CPO network. For DISCOMs, a standard communication layer needs to encompass all charging networks of different CPOs in their service area for charging load management at the grid level. The time-based tariffs like TOD using TOD meters for time of use rates can be applied. The smart charging is typically deployed for commercial charging facilities, and smart chargers with back-end communication capabilities should be used for semi-public and public charging. The public charging at home or for personal use is usually mode 2 charging. Here mode 1 is not recommended. The mode 1 and mode 2 are basically classified on the basis of their charging power levels, and it does not have smart charging capabilities. This makes home charging loads difficult to manage. To partly address this issue, it is suggested that a market be created for low cost chargers that can be programmed to synchronize with TOD tariffs. So, this will allow for passive management of private charging events, which can reduce the excess demand on the grid during peak hours. As DISCOMs mandate smart charging capabilities for private charging, EV users can upgrade their chargers at that time. Establishing a managed charging framework requires the involvement of multiple stakeholders. So, this is about the smart charging. Now, we will see about how to integrate the EV charging in the grid. Means what are the plans required to integrate EV charging with the grid. So, the readiness of the electricity grid to cater to EV charging demand is critical to achieve rapid and large scale transition to EVs. Application of smart charging measures can help manage EV charging loads to a certain degree without the need for grid upgrades. However, going forward, DISCOM planning processes for grid upgrades and network expansions will need to account for EV charging loads. To begin with, DISCOMs should conduct assessments of EV charging at the grid and feeder levels for different scenarios of EV penetration, with other factors of interest such as spatial concentration of EVs, differential EV charging patterns, and the modeled impacts of TOD measures. This will help DISCOMs devise their load management strategies, develop grid upgrading plans, and plan for increases in power purchase agreements (PPAs) that are needed. Subsequently, DISCOMs should develop EV readiness plans based on charging load impacts on the grid infrastructure. National and state regulators are advised to direct DISCOMs to undertake impact assessment and prepare EV readiness plans. So, now we will discuss a study which is based on the impact of EV charging on power demand. So, basically the study EV, a new entrant to India's electricity consumer basket, evaluates the seasonal impact of charging requirements for 10,100 EVs. So, here a data of 10,100 EVs has been consolidated, which comprising of 7,100 two-wheelers, 1,550 three-wheelers, 1,350 four-wheelers and 100 e-buses, considered on the peak power demand of each of the 4 DISCOMs in Delhi. So, basically this study was based on the DISCOMs in Delhi having a data size of 10,100. So, the study developed an Excel based model to evaluate the change in load profile of a DISCOM due to EV charging based on the following input data. So, basically a load profile has been plotted based on the Excel data sheet, and the following observations has been made with the following input data. So, the load data for the DISCOM for different seasons from the State Load Dispatch Center SLDC. Next, EV population scenario based on publicly available projected data. Next one is vehicle and charger specifications for different EV categories. Next one is charging requirements and time based charging patterns for different EV segments. This study indicates that immediate EV charging demand constitutes only a marginal fraction of the total demand in a DISCOM's service area. However, even at this stage, EV charging can potentially exacerbate peak loads or fill out the off-peak hours for electricity demand based on EV charging patterns. Further, while the study considered approximately 10,000 EVs in a DISCOM service area in Delhi, there were more than 23,000 EVs registered in Delhi in 2019. This figure is expected to grow to more than 2 lakhs EV registration per year by 2030. At the projected rate, EV charging demand as a component of total electricity demand in a DISCOM service area is expected to grow rapidly. The impact of EV charging is expected to be more pronounced at the distribution transformer level, which can be projected through impact assessments of localized charging loads on grid infrastructure at the feeder level. Now, these are the points which has to be considered for the EV integration to the grid. Now, we will see about the models of EV charging implementation. So, there are certain models through which we can implement the EV charging effectively to cater the demand of grid. So, the EV charging infrastructure market in India is young, with fewer than 2,000 charging stations established across the country as of March 2021. However, with the market expected to scale up rapidly in the next few years, companies from various sectors are entering at different points in the value chain. Multiple stakeholders are exploring business models and implementation partnerships to set up EV charging driven by profit motives or regulatory requirements. So, we will discuss the typical roles in charging infrastructure implementation. A typical charging infrastructure implementation model involves multiple roles, which may be taken up by one stakeholder or delivered through partnerships between different stakeholders. Apart from the setup of charging infrastructure, other roles include land provision, electricity supply, EVSE supply, charging software solutions, and customer services. So, the first point regarding this is the procurement of charging infrastructure. So, let us discuss this. The stakeholder procuring the charging infrastructure is the driving partner for the implementation. Procurement can be undertaken by the primary user of the charging infrastructure, by the charging service provider, or by the governing authority responsible for providing charging infrastructure. However, this is not a necessary condition. Next one is the land provision. So, basically land provision is the space required for EV charging may be owned by the procuring stakeholders or may be acquired on lease or alternative arrangements, that is revenue sharing. For example, generally private and semi-public charging facilities are installed on private land, while the public ones may be installed on public or private land. So basically, when we talk about the private and semi-public charging facilities, they are set up on the private land, means their area is, the area requirement for setting up those charging infrastructure is small. But if we talk about the public charging stations, they need a public land of having a larger area. So this is regarding the land requirements. Now next is the energy supply. So the energy supply for all EV charging installations is provided by the DISCOMs, responsible for power distribution in the region where the charging facility is located. So the EVSE supply, installation and maintenance. EV chargers may be supplied by an EVSE manufacturer or retailer. For semi-public or public charging, CPOs are usually responsible for the selection and installation of the required arrangement of chargers. So next we have the charging software solutions. So the system management software is used by CPOs to manage their network of charging points, to track and control charging sessions, run diagnostics on the charger equipment, and for other back-end services to manage customer subscriptions, pricing structures, etc. Charging solutions may be offered as white label solutions from third-party vendors or may be developed in-house by CPOs. In addition to implementing stakeholders, CPOs and EMSPs are responsible for customer services at public and semi-public charging facilities. Models of implementation. So there are three broad implementation models for charging infrastructure, categorized by the stakeholder group responsible for charging infrastructure procurement: the government driven model, the consumer driven model, and the service provider driven model. So we will discuss each and every model separately. So first of all, we will discuss on the perspective of government. So it is the government driven model. So in many cities, public charging infrastructure provision is led by government agencies. They include local authorities such as municipal corporations and urban development authorities or state nodal agencies known as SNAs responsible for public charging infrastructure. Public land aggregated from different government and public sector bodies is provided for the installation of charging facilities. The charging equipment may be owned by government or by a CPO that is contracted to own and operate the charging services. For self-owned EV charging facilities, public sector agencies procure the EVSE equipment through an EPC contract with a partner. Charging services may be self-managed or outsourced to a CPO. Alternatively, government authorities may enter a PPP contract with a partner. Here, the relevant government agency invites CPOs to install and operate EV charging facilities for public use. In this model, governments offer financial subsidies, concessional land provision or energy supply to incentivize CPOs to reduce capital cost of implementation. Now we will discuss this model for the Delhi EV charging infrastructure and for the battery swapping station tender. So, the Delhi Transco Limited DTL as the state nodal agency for charging infrastructure has invited bids from private agencies to set up and operate public charging stations across the city. The tender will be awarded to the companies charging the lowest service fees. The concessionaire is responsible for the supply, erection, testing, commissioning, maintaining and operation of the PCS at its own cost for the designated lease period. The CPO will recover the cost via service fees. Land for setting up charging stations is provided by the government with land parcels aggregated from various public agencies. Land is provided on a revenue sharing basis and the concessionaires will pay a fixed rate of 0.7 per kilowatt hour of power sold to the site owning agencies for the duration of the contract period, basically which is 60 months. For self-owned EV charging facilities, public sector agencies procure the EVSE equipment through an EPC contract with a partner. Charging services may be self-managed or outsourced to a CPO. Alternatively, government authorities may enter a PPP contract with a partner. Here, the relevant government agency invites CPOs to install and operate EV charging facilities for public use. In this model, governments offer financial subsidies, concessional land provision and energy supply to incentivize CPOs to reduce capital cost of implementation. The DISCOMs are mandated to provide electricity connections up to 100 kilowatt sanctioned load for the public charging facilities. The concessionaires are responsible for obtaining EV metered connection and for the energy chargers for electricity used. Regulatory support for applications, permissions, quality checks, site feasibility, approvals, etc. is provided to the concessionaire by the SNA or any other body mandated in the contract. The SNA will also support the concessionaire in taking up early release of the electricity connection with the respective DISCOM. So, this is related to the government driven model. Now, we will talk related to the perspective of consumer driven model. So, the consumer driven model is employed for private and semi-public charging facilities. Primary procuring stakeholders include private entities such as malls, commercial or institutional establishments, retail shops, restaurants, etc. that have parking available on their premises to host EV charging facilities. They will most commonly partner with a CPO to take care of EVSE supply, installation and maintenance as well as the management of service operations. While EVSE procurement by the private entity is typically through direct purchase, new models around leasing of EVSE equipment from suppliers or CPOs are also evolving. Other consumers using this model include private EV owners and fleet operators. The implementation model is straightforward for EV owners who may procure the EV charger from their automobile OEM and EVSE retailer, a CPO or their DISCOM. Depending on the type of charger and power connection, software services may be available to the EV owner through a mobile application to control charging sessions, take advantage of TOD tariffs, etc. The fleet operators require charging facilities for their EV fleets. In this case, land is provided by the fleet operator who may own or lease it. EVSE equipment supply, installation and maintenance are through direct contracts with suppliers or CPOs, and charging management services may be hand-led in-house or contracted to a CPO. So this is related to the driven model of the fleets. Now we will discuss about the service provider model. So in the service provider model, it is the CPOs that drive EV charging provision for public and semi-public charging. The key distinguishing features of the service provider models are as follows. So the first one is EVSE equipment is usually owned by the CPO. Next one, land is sourced from a variety of owners including public and private entities. This is especially true for private CPOs, and the charging services are offered under the brand of the CPO. The private CPOs aim to establish a network of charging facilities in strategic locations with high potential charging demand. They source land parcels in selected locations from public or private entities, install EVSE equipment supplied by the manufacturing partners, and operate paid EV charging services for public or semi-public usage. The CPOs may enter revenue sharing arrangements with host establishments or other landowners for the use of land. DISCOMs are also entering the charging infrastructure market as CPOs. These agencies typically use their own land to set up public EV charging facilities and operate them as paid services. DISCOMs may also provide bundled charging services for private EV owners and recover the capital and operating cost through electricity tariffs. Other stakeholders driving the service provider model of EV charging implementation include industrial companies that are moving into charging infrastructure and EV manufacturers that are setting up charging infrastructure networks as allied services. So dear learners, in today's lecture we have discussed related to the policies of integration of EV charging infrastructure with the grid. We have also discussed about the smart charging facilities and the basic criteria which are required for the integration of charging infrastructure to the EVs, and also we have discussed various models related to the government perspective, the EV fleet perspectives and the service provider perspectives for the easy integration of the EV charging infrastructure with the grid. So dear learners, with this we will end our today's lecture here, and we will meet some more topics in the upcoming lectures. Till then, happy learning and thank you for your patience.